All right, welcome back, gangsters. Thank you guys for tuning in. So this video is going to be a little different than usual. There's not too much of a plan here. This is going to be more raw. I'm fucking exhausted. It's the last week of my deficit right now, my fat loss phase. I'll put up my check-in photos here. 2 weeks ago, we said we were pushing for that 10 to 12%. I'd say I'm about 12 right now, and we're moving into a reverse diet, so we're probably going to get down to 11, 10%, and that's going to be fucking sick. I've done my leg day, I did my cardio, and now I'm gonna finish up some steps while we talk. So this video is gonna be more geared towards a lot of you younger guys who are ambitious and have big goals around fitness, business, pursuing whatever you really wanna pursue. And it's on the topic of taking the long, hard way. You know, the long, hard, stupid, dumb way. I'm sure you've heard the concept of it, but I've experienced that in its full effect in my life over the last couple of years of me trying to improve myself, build a business, pursue my fitness goals, manage a relationship, manage mental health, and all of you can 100% relate to some of these things. So I think there's a lot of valuable lessons in the story I'm going to talk about today. And then we're going to end the video on a concept that has come into my mind and become really clear to me over these last years. And it's a concept that success isn't a chance. It's not something you hope for or wish for or get lucky with. It's a choice. And once you can understand that choice, you can really have whatever you want in your life. So we're going to put you on some generational game, breaking out of the matrix type shit. So stick around, listen to it. Let me test your attention spans for today. So I'll start off in early high school days. I won't make this drag on too long. You don't need to know my entire life story. But starting off in early high school, grade 9, I was the small, skinny kid. You know, I was 105 pounds, I think. I grew pretty late, so I was like 5'2", and I was already into the gym. I liked it. I liked working out, but I was just very small and skinny and didn't really know what I was doing. I probably thought fucking peanut butter was an amazing protein source at the time, so clearly I didn't make very good progress. And then moving into like the middle of high school, that's when I was more serious about working out. I got a gym membership, started really training hard, started learning a little bit about nutrition, understanding what protein actually was, and I started to make a little bit more progress. And then as it went, a couple of my friends got into the gym. They started working out. They started making more progress than me very, very quickly. Like I was a year and a half in. Once they were 5-6 months in, they were getting bigger and stronger than me. So that shit hurt the ego a little bit, hurt the pride, made me feel like shit. And not gonna lie, at times it made me just wanna quit because I was like, why am I gonna do this and work so hard if everyone else just seems to have it easier than me? So this is kind of like the precursor to where my mentality is currently at and why I've done the things in my life that I have done. So we'll get there. And then by the end of high school, I made the decision that yeah, fitness kind of sucked for me. My progress was slow. I felt shitty. I felt insecure. A lot of my friends kind of poked fun at me because they're like, Corrado, so serious about this stuff when we barely try and we're bigger and stronger than him. And that was shitty. Shitty friends. But after that, I was like, hey, fuck it. You know, I already put this much time in. I really love this shit. I'm not really good at anything else. So let me just actually go all in. So I started learning a little bit more. That's when I got into like the evidence-based community of fitness. You guys know the Ryan Jewers, JPG, TNF, those guys, Jeff Nippard. Started learning a little bit more about the science behind lifting, getting a little bit more structured, intentional with what I was doing. And I found out about the low volume approach. And if you guys have been through that timeline of going from like 4 to 12 or 4 by 12 to the lower volume approach, 2 sets, 6 to 8 reps to failure, it was a fucking peak experience. I was like finding out about life for the first time at that time. And I went through it. I started making some good progress. I started building some muscle. I started getting bigger. And all the fuckers that caught up to me so fast when they started working out, I quickly came back the other way. I quickly started to make more progress than them because I actually stuck to it and I continued to learn and I stayed super consistent and nobody else did because that's what happens. The people who have it easy tend to fizzle out. And that's another big part of this whole idea of taking the long, hard, stupid way. Because when it's harder for you, there's more incentive for you to actually do it, to actually push through. The reward of you seeing that progress is a lot bigger than the reward of the person who had it easy. So getting towards the end of high school, I was in a good place with my fitness. I was pretty strong, I was pretty big. And I wasn't in a great place mentally though. I never really was in a great place mentally all throughout high school. I struggled a lot with very strong depression, anxiety. I had some stuff going on at home that contributed to that. And I never really talked about this stuff. As I got older, to the end of high school, I just started drinking and smoking a lot more. So that was kind of my crutch for the way that I was feeling. I still kept up with my fitness, but definitely started to get less healthy as I started drinking multiple times a week and smoking weed every day. I do like weed now, but I don't think you should be smoking every day. And then by the end of high school, I was in a very low place mentally. Very, very low. Like very, very low. My mental health was in the worst place it's ever been in. And I was very depressed. I was very anxious all the time. And I didn't see any way that life would get better. Because in my eyes, I tried so hard for so long for things to improve. And they just really weren't. So I was pretty suicidal at the time for a while. And I was pretty set on not making it past the last summer of high school. Because I figured, after that, shit only gets harder. So I might as well have fun, do some drugs, drink a lot, and then peace out. But luckily, I ended up meeting my girlfriend that summer in the lowest part of my life. And she was pretty much like a fucking shining light into my life on, hey, you can do this. There's something else on the other side. Push a little bit longer, see what happens. And I ended up doing that. So this is where like my life actually kind of started, I guess you could say. This is where I started having actual ambitions for the future. I actually saw myself making it to my future. So now I was like, okay, I got to figure out what I want to do with this shit, this whole world now that wasn't there before. So I decided I really love fitness. It was a thing I absolutely love. So I went to college for it, got an education in fitness and health, got my certification, become a personal trainer, went down that pipeline, started training people, had a bunch of clients in person, started doing some private stuff. I was training people in their houses, training people out of condo gyms, whatever I could, honestly. And it was pretty cool. For the first time in my life, like I felt lit up with passion. I was really enjoying the thing that I got to do. I was getting people results. I was helping people with the shit that I love. That's a pretty amazing process. And then I got into Instagram. Started making some stuff on social media. And when I started, it was literally just to help my current clients. Like there was a lot of topics that I had in my mind that I was learning from other people. And I was like, I just want my clients to know about this stuff. And in the sessions, you're talking about life a lot of the time. You're talking about what situations they have going on. So you're not always being a teacher. So I made this account. I started making content. And I would just tell my clients, hey, go watch this. I made this video on something that we've been working on. Go watch it. And then they would. And I started building a little bit of following. Some of the people that went to my gym started following, taking some of my advice. I got good feedback. People were seeing good results doing the things I was talking about. And it was a really good feeling. Probably the best feeling I've ever had, to feel like I was kind of a leader of a community. Like there was people watching what I was doing and improving their fitness, their health because of it. So I really just got all the way sucked into that feeling. I really just wanted to see how many people I could help. So I got way more into content creation. I signed up for this program about how to make better content. And it was cool. It taught me a bit about hooks, retaining people's attention, making your content look a little bit better. And it started to get more reach. It did. And I realized maybe I can do something with this. So I actually had a conversation with my girlfriend. I think it was like 2022, our first year of our relationship. And I said, a couple years from now, this page that I started, this shit's going to have 50,000 followers. I'm going to have a full roster of clients, and I'm going to be making a full-time income online coaching. I'm going to make this my life. And I don't really care what it takes. And I made that decision before I even had like 200 followers. And I just continued to take every step that I could to do it. It was fucking hard. It was confusing, but I just kept showing up every day. And slowly things started to build. I started to build an audience. I started to get more views on my page. Some people started to ask me questions and be interested, but at this point I didn't have any offer. I was just posting. So if you're thinking of online coaching or anything in the online business space, realize how much work you need to put in for free before anything will ever come out of it. Because I was posting for almost 3 years before I even had an offer. I was just posting for the fact that I could build a community, I could help people, I could put information out there, I could learn myself through creating content. Coaches, if you're watching this, or anyone who's aspiring to be one, making content on topics that you have learned is probably the best way to actually learn them at a higher level. Being able to communicate them clearly after you've learned them, that's massive for you understanding that topic. So a couple years in now, I built a decent following. Then I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna launch something where people can start to work with me. I decided to join a mentorship at the time, like a business group, which I spent a lot of money on. I'll tell you, I spent like $10,000. And that was kind of like all the money I had at the time. That was a very risky decision because I didn't have too much to go off of after spending that. But I decided that fuck it, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to put my back against the wall. No matter what happens, I'm going to make this work. I don't care if the mentor is shit. I'm going to make it work. And it took a while. I started off and things weren't going very well. I opened up this offer, tried to get people to apply or to reach out to me. Wasn't really happening. Started to just kind of cold outreach, DM a lot of people, get people having conversations with me. And I remember I booked 36 calls in a couple of months. 36 calls, 36 client prospects. All of them said no. So I spent like 3 months having multiple calls a week and nobody said yes. And that was fucking disheartening. I'd made no money. My money was running low. I was feeling like shit about myself. I was like, why did I make this decision? But something in me always told me that you know yourself well enough to know that you are the person who can do this shit. If anyone can do it, you can fucking do it. Just keep going. And I kept going. And then I got my first client. And I got a little bit more confident. And I got my second client, my third client, my fourth client. And then before I knew it, a couple months in, I'd made back my entire investment. I had a client roster of about, I think at most I had 25, 30 clients. I was making a really good income for being a 20-year-old. And things felt like I was on top of the world. Like I felt like the fucking GOAT. I was sharing my wins in this mentorship group. They were hyping me up. They were posting my results. I was feeling good. I had all these clients on my roster. And it felt good. It felt good for a while until it crashed down very, very hard. I realized that the audience that I built was all just kind of chasing virality, chasing pleasing people. I went down the route of the super sustainable coach. All you need to do is 3 workouts. Just hit your protein, just whole foods. And I realized that's not really a route that has a lot of sustainability with clients because people like that don't really care about fitness. Okay, this is the 3rd time I'm recording this now because the video just keeps fucking cutting out for no reason. And I'm pretty exhausted of talking, but I'm gonna push through it because we talked about taking the long, hard, stupid way, and this is pretty long, hard, and fucking stupid. I realized that I didn't have any system set up to manage this amount of clients. So I had to do everything fucking manually. And that was a lot of work. I had a call with a client every single day, every single week. All my clients had a weekly call with me. I also talked to every single client every single day. And I don't mean just replying to them. I meant I was reaching out to them every single day, all 30 of my clients, looking at what they're doing, if they're logging their meals, doing their workouts, hitting their steps, and just constantly talking to them, making them accountable, making sure they're on plan. After doing that, I realized that 1, my system sucked. 2, my clients were not aligned with the type of person I was or the thing that I wanted to actually coach at all. And 3, that this was completely fucking unsustainable. But if there's anything about me, I don't fucking quit. So I went and doubled down. I locked myself in my room pretty much every single day. I would close my blinds, put my headphones on with like 420 hertz music, and just work all day. I'd be talking to clients, talking to new prospects. I would be looking over people's nutrition, looking over their training, making sure they were doing everything that they needed to. And then I quickly realized as well that I was not fucking as smart or as educated as I thought. Because once I got these clients to start eating whole foods, start walking more, start doing 3 workouts a week, I didn't really know what else to coach them on. And I realized that I didn't have that much to offer. And I got into all this shit way too quickly because I was chasing money. So that feeling hit me really hard. I got a lot of imposter syndrome. I started to think, what am I even doing? You know, why do all these people trust me with this money and this commitment? I'm a piece of shit. But if there's one thing nobody can ever say about me was that I didn't care. because I went above and beyond for every single fucking client, even when I was losing my own mind. So then at this point, I wasn't gonna quit. So I doubled down even harder and I became a psychopath. So I decided that if I was just the type of person who woke up every single day at 5 a.m., took a cold shower every single morning, did 30 minutes of meditation, worked 12 hours a day, another 30 minutes of meditation, read 10 pages of book, asleep by 9 p.m., nothing but whole foods, no junk food, no going out, no alcohol, no weed, no nothing, then maybe I'd be good enough. So I became absolute psychopath for the next 9 months. I locked myself in my room pretty much every single day. I had almost no social interaction. I didn't talk to any friends. I didn't do anything. I didn't go on dates anymore. I barely interacted with my girlfriend. And I was kind of just a selfish piece of shit. I didn't know that's how I was being at the time. I felt like that's what I needed to do to build the business I wanted to build. But I was completely fucking plummeting. My mental health was horrible. It became the worst that it's probably ever been. I was extremely depressed and extremely anxious every single day. I was getting physically unhealthy because I was being crazy and I didn't even know what I was actually doing. Like I had no real knowledge about nutrition or training, so both of them sucked, even though I thought I was super optimal. And I started losing a lot of progress. I felt like shit a lot of the time. My gut was all over the place. And that continued for a little while, for a pretty long while, maybe like 8-9 months. And then we decided we were going on a trip to Europe. So we booked this big trip to Europe. It was a 6-week trip. It was gonna be the first time I was meeting my girlfriend's family in Portugal. And then we were gonna explore Portugal, Spain, France, and the Balearic Islands. So it was a pretty cool trip, once in a lifetime type of experience. We booked it, we got it set up, and I wanted to work through the trip. I really did. My mind had a very hard time letting go, but I realized that I might blow my brains out if I do that. So I decided that I was just gonna kind of shut down business for those 6 months. I actually took the time to set up every single one of my clients for free for those 6 months with a written out plan, with all the nutrition and training set out and exactly what they should do while I'm gone and how to approach things for free for those 6 months, because I actually genuinely cared. Even though I hated everything going on, I still cared about the people who invested into working with me. Set that all up, went on the trip, and guess what? Nobody followed it. I think one client actually stuck to the plan, and all other 20, 25, whatever it was at the time, didn't do pretty much anything. And that was pretty disheartening. That hurt me. That made me realize even more that, the clientele I built was not the type of clientele that was aligned with me. And then we went on this trip. I enjoyed the trip. It was a beautiful experience. I was still in a rough place mentally. I had a very hard time disconnecting. I was very scared that when I would come back, there would be nothing left for me and everything that I spent all this time building would be crumbled and gone and I'd hate it. So I was not very present. I wasn't always in a good mood, but it was an amazing trip and it was everything I needed it to be to kind of find myself, come back to my center and realize what I wanted out of life again. So once I came back from the trip, I started kind of just letting go of all my current clients. Any client that would end their contract, I just wouldn't offer a renewal. I'd just be like, pleasure working with you. I loved it. Great time. See you later, right? And that was that type of thing. And I slowly tapered down until I had like 3 clients. These clients were cool. They were somewhat aligned with me. They were actually doing the things we wanted to do. They were good clients, so that was nice to have a couple. But I decided I needed to rebuild my entire fucking life. I needed to reevaluate what I actually wanted, what type of community I wanted to build, what type of business I wanted to build, what type of person I wanted to be, what my actual morals were, what things I actually cared about. So I took 3 big steps. I got educated first, because that is very fucking important. I went through Hypertrophy Academy. I cannot recommend it enough. I did their entire education course. I spent a couple months doing that. I signed up for Hypertrophy Coach University, Joe Bennett's course, and I've been working through that. I got my own coach, Declan from Hypertrophy Academy, and also mentor. So I learned a ton from him. I started figuring out my own systems with my training and also with my coaching. I started to get all the questions answered that I didn't know from someone much smarter and more successful than me. Went through the education, learned a ton. That was the education, mentoring, learning side. The second big step I took was doing therapy. I realized I was pretty fucked up and I needed a lot of help because my mind was insane. I had to work through a lot of the things that I went through in my past, a lot of the trauma, the mental health issues, the patterns that I had built into me. I started actually taking time to figure out who I was, spending more time alone, spending more time doing things I actually enjoyed, going on dates again, seeing people, actually being somewhat social. And I slowly started to figure out who I was and what I could do. I started to become a way better coach, a way better lifter, a way better partner, a way better human being. And I realized that I needed to put this into my actual mission. I need to bring my story into something that was real. So I started shifting the way that I was making content, the way that I was showing up online, to actually represent me, to be who I was and not chase this version of me that I thought I was supposed to be for success. And it was tough at first. I started to lose a lot of followers. My engagement was super low, wasn't getting any clients, wasn't really making any money. And I was still working quite a lot, but I had a lot more free time now. I started actually going for walks and touching grass. Started going out for dates occasionally. I was still kind of stressed because it was this big transition and there was a lot of uncertainty. But something that helped me out a lot with that was a supplement called saffron, which I actually have right here. My coach put me on this, and this, if you can see it well enough, this genuinely changed my life completely. I take 1 to 2 capsules of this every day, and it helps managing your stress and anxiety levels, or I think it has something to do with your serotonin receptors. It helps your tolerance to stress and anxiety be much higher, so you can manage your life while dealing with those things. It brought me down to a point with my stress and anxiety that literally brought me to tears. It takes about like 3 or 4 weeks to kick in, but once it did and I felt the effects starting, it brought me to tears because I realized how fucked up my head was for so long. I lived in a constant state of fear and stress and anxiety and depression, like pretty much all the time. And feeling that lightness of not having those very heavy feelings on me was unreal. It was absolutely fucking unreal. And then that led me into another pretty much year of just doing the things that I was doing. Rebuilding my brand in a way that was meaningful to me, going all in on my own fitness results, my own fitness journey, getting way more intentional about my health, figuring out the supplements that I needed, figuring out my gut health that I realized was very sensitive. And it wasn't normal that I had diarrhea and gas and farting all the time every day. And that also impacted my mental health. So my gut health was in a good place. My training was in the best place that it's ever been. My nutrition was awesome. I finally got on a meal plan, so I was actually eating good, consistent meals every single day. My business was slowly starting to grow again. Started to get a couple of clients in, and then we got a small roster of clients that were super aligned with what I did, who were absolute fucking pleasures to work with. We started to see some amazing results like you've seen me posting, and slowly things started to come back together. I lost a ton of followers, but I started to gain back the followers that I actually wanted on my page, people that were part of a community that I wanted to build, people that actually cared about the things that I cared about. They cared about the message that I had to put out there. I put a lot of my story about what I was going through, my mental health, the changes that I was making, the things that I was learning out onto the internet for people to follow with me. I documented my journey of my progress through fitness and learning and getting better, getting in better shape, getting in better health while I did it all. And then that kind of brings us back to now. I'm in the best place mentally that I've ever been in. I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in physically. We've just finished up a cut, around 12% body fat. We're moving into a reverse diet and then going into a growing phase. And this is gonna be the most generational growing phase of all fucking time. I promise you that. I promise you I'm going to shock this side of the internet, this niche, this community with how much muscle I build in the next year. And you guys are all gonna come on that journey with me. And it's gonna be fucking awesome. We're gonna grow together, we're gonna win together. I'm in the best place with my business that I've ever been. Yeah, I'm making less money, I have less clients, but my systems are fucking awesome, which is why we see really, really good results. My knowledge is in an amazing place, and I feel like I can help clients with literally any question, any issue that they have right now, which is so cool to be in that position. I'm building a community of people who actually care. The interactions that I've been having are awesome. I'm working on a rebrand right now that really brings my brand together in a way that I really enjoy. My relationship is stronger than it's ever been. Through all the trials and tribulations we've been through, we've learned about each other so much, and we both become better for it, especially me. And my girlfriend's been a fucking rock in my life and helped me get through all of these really hard times and support me even when I was a psychopath. And I'm actually enjoying life again. We go out for a date night every week. I spend some time walking in nature, I've been seeing my friends a little bit more often. I feel like I'm an actual human again. I've been giving myself more time to read. The topic of being present has been a big one on my mind because presence was always very difficult for me. And everything has kind of just come back together so perfectly. And I know that this is just the start because this is kind of just a new beginning. But I know in the process of everything that I've been through, it's built me into a person that I'm so fucking proud of. And I'm so confident in what I can do and who I am now that I know anything that will be put in my path now cannot take from what I feel inside, cannot take from the certainty I have in myself. And I know exactly what we're going to build. And I know that I'm the person who is meant to do it. So all of this to be said, it kind of brings me into the conclusion of the long, hard, stupid way. Because although a lot of people around me that I saw and compared myself to seemingly had it so much easier, the business got built so fast and so seamlessly. They got results in the gym so quickly. Everything just came easily to them. They weren't fucking losing their mind and depressed all the time like I was. Why was it so hard for me? But I realize now that everything I experienced, all the shit I had to endure, I needed to endure to become the person that I am today. All the lessons that I learned, all the experience that I had, I would never had them if I didn't take the long, hard, stupid way. And if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't become who I am today. I would not change a single fucking thing about that journey because I love who I am today. I can look at every area of my life, my mental health, my physical health, my relationship, my training, my business, my clients, and there's not a single one where I could do anything more to be taking care of them. I'm putting my absolute all into every single one of those areas to do my best, to be the best version of me, and show up as the best person I can be in all of them. And that leads me perfectly to the idea of success being a choice and not a chance. I think it's a mistake when people think of succeeding at something as something you need to wish for. Like, I wish I could have a physique like that. I hope one day I can look like him. I hope one day I can have a job like that or a business like that. You have to realize that it's all your choice. Anything you want out of life, you have to make a decision that I am going to achieve this thing. I'm going to become the person who has this thing, who can do this thing, and accept that the path in front of you is going to be fucking uncertain. It's going to be hard. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be tested. You're going to feel like shit at times. You're not going to know if you're doing the right thing, but you have to walk it. And you have to understand that there's no way to know how long it might be, but you have to be willing to walk that path despite all of that. Because there's only really two choices. You make the decision and you accept the path ahead, or the first challenging thing that comes up, the first time you get tested, you feel uncomfortable, you back away and you crawl back into your comfort zone and you stay stuck as the version of you that you didn't want to be anymore. So when you can see it like that, you realize that it's a simple choice. It's not an easy choice, but it's a simple choice. And once you make that choice, realize that everything on that path, no matter how hard it is what's meant for you. It's what you need to develop into the person that you were meant to become. So don't resist it, don't fight it, don't resent it, just feel it. Feel all the emotions, the experiences, the trials and tribulations, the horrible days, the great days, feel it all. And do your best to be present with it. Because if there's one lesson I've learned through everything, is there's no moment that's better than another. We can always think that, oh, when I get here, then things will be good. When I finish this cut and I get lean, then things will be good. When I finally make this much money, things will be good. When I finally get a girlfriend, things will be good. When you think like that, you deprive yourself of any joy or actually experiencing what you're currently going through because you're waiting for something else to give you satisfaction. When you can understand that this moment, me walking on this dumbass treadmill for an hour and a half, recording this video 4 times, this moment is the best moment I will ever have because it's the only moment that's real. The past is gone. The future is just in your imagination. Right now is all you will ever have. And if you can learn to be fully here in everything that you do in this present moment, everything's available to you. Anything you want in your life is right fucking here and you have it. So if you made it this far, I really fucking appreciate you. I know I just kind of yapped about whatever, but I'm pretty sure most of you can relate to this. Or if you can't, you will one day. So keep this shit tucked away in your mind. And I hope you had some takeaways or some lessons that could help you in your life. I would really appreciate if you did watch this far, if you can send me a DM or a message or whatever you want about how you feel about this. If there's anything you took away, if you like this type of content, if you've learned something, if you relate to it, because you guys are fucking awesome for actually being here and joining this community. And I want to be able to interact with you and give back to you and do whatever I can to help you with my story to get to where you want to be. And so you can learn from my lessons and my fuck ups and do better. So if you did enjoy it, thank you so much. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one.